From career-ending disqualifications to the worst caddies robbing players the win, these are the 20 most unexpected golf moments ever recorded. And first we start with number 20, where Tiger Woods sparked controversy, not for his golf, but for something that no one saw coming. At the 2023 Genesis Invitational, Woods teed it up alongside his good friend Justin Thomas in what seemed like a lighthearted pairing. The golf itself was compelling. Tiger was still proving he could compete even after his many injuries. But what happened on the ninth hole? That's what had everyone talking. Woods stepped up and absolutely nuked his drive, sending it well past Thomas's ball. As they walked off the tee, Tiger reached into his pocket, handed Thomas something, and grinned. At first it seemed like nothing, just two buddies sharing a laugh, but then the camera zoomed in. That something was a tampon. The implication? Thomas had driven the ball like a woman. Within minutes, the internet exploded. Social media went into a frenzy. Critics called out Woods for sending the wrong message, arguing that women's sports shouldn't be the punchline of a joke. Or was this just two friends messing around? What do you think? For number 19, we jump to 2024 at the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches, where Justin Rose, Olympic gold medalist, former world number 1, and all-around golf magician, found himself in a situation that had disaster written all over it. On the par 4 13th, Rose's tee shot went completely rogue, veering way left and ending up under a boundary fence, tangled in mesh construction. A total nightmare. Most players in this situation would shake their heads, take the penalty, and move on with a bogey, maybe even worse. But not Justin Rose. As the crowd swarmed in, waiting to see how this mess would unfold, Rose remembered a tiny, obscure rule that almost no one ever needs. You can stand out of bounds to hit a ball that's still in bounds. And lucky for him, his ball wasn't fully past the fence, it was still in play. So what did he do? He hopped the fence, literally standing in someone's backyard, to take his shot. From 124 yards, he punched the ball back onto the fairway. It wasn't the cleanest strike, but it got him back in play. And then, magic. With his ball safely back in play, Rose delivered a picture-perfect pitch to 2 feet. He drained the putt and walked away with one of the greatest par saves of the year. Coming in at number 18, and we find ourselves at the 2013 U.S. Women's Open. The pressure was through the roof as the world's top female golfers fought for one of the biggest titles in the sport. Jessica Korda was grinding through a brutal round. Every golfer knows the frustration of a tough day on the course, but what happened next? Nobody, literally nobody, saw this coming. Korda and her caddy, Jason Gilroyd, were clearly not on the same page. The back and forth between them grew sharper, her frustration bubbling over with every missed shot. And then, right in the middle of the round, she snapped. She fired her caddy. Not later in the clubhouse, not even at the turn, mid-round, with holes still left to play. Wait, what? Had this seriously just happened? 1 second, Gilroyd was guiding her through the US Open, and the next, he was out of a job, on the spot. But the story doesn't end there. Korda still had a tournament to finish. So, she turned to the gallery, locked eyes with her boyfriend, Johnny Delpreet, and said something no one expected. "You're up." Luckily, Delpreet was a pro golfer himself, so he handled it like a champ, picking up the bag and carrying on like this kind of thing happened all the time. It absolutely doesn't. The whole scene was so unexpected, it instantly became one of the most unforgettable moments in women's golf. At number 17, we're heading back to the 2013 Ballantines Championship in South Korea, where Louis Oosthuizen hit what might be one of the longest drives ever recorded. But this wasn't a Bryson DeChambeau-style bomb. This was something much weirder. It happened on a par 5, a hole where distance is key. Oosthuizen stepped up, unleashed his driver, and then things took a very unexpected turn. His tee shot didn't rocket down the fairway like usual. Instead, it went right, way right. At first, it looked like a routine miss until the ball found the cart path. And that's when the madness began. A normal bounce off the path might give a player an extra 20, maybe 30 yards. But this was something else. His ball didn't just bounce, it kept rolling, and rolling, and rolling. For nearly 2 minutes, the ball zipped down the concrete like it had an engine attached. By the time it finally stopped, the crowd couldn't believe it. His drive had gone nearly 500 yards, basically a dream shot for even the biggest hitters on tour. It ended up just short of the green, setting him up for what should have been an easy birdie. But in the ultimate twist, he couldn't sink the putt. After all that, after one of the most ridiculous tee shots in golf history, he walked away with just a par. For number 16, we jump to 2025 at the Genesis Invitational, where Scottie Scheffler, the world's top-ranked player, reminded everyone that even the best can hit some truly awful shots. Standing on the par 3 11th tee at Torrey Pines, Scheffler took his swing and missed big time. His ball didn't just drift off target, it soared about 50 yards left, landing near the tee box of another hole. It was the kind of shot you'd expect from a weekend golfer, not the world's best. A bogey seemed inevitable, but then things took a wild turn. When Scheffler reached his ball, he noticed it was sitting next to a large water cooler box, classified as a temporary immovable obstruction. That meant he was entitled to free relief. And here's where his deep knowledge of the rules paid off. After taking a drop in the rough, he got to place the ball again thanks to the preferred lies rule in effect that day. Just like that, his terrible lie turned into a perfect one on the short grass. From there, he worked his magic. He hit a beautiful recovery shot to within 4 feet of the pin and drained the putt to save par. Everything he did was completely legal, as PGA Tour official Orlando Pope confirmed. But watching a disastrous tee shot turn into a stress-free par had plenty of amateur golfers shaking their heads, wishing they could catch breaks like that. Next up, number 15. Well, golf has seen its fair share of underdogs, but never one quite like this. In 1976, Maurice Flitcroft, a British crane operator with absolutely no real golf experience, somehow managed to enter the Open Championship qualifying round. No amateur tournaments, no pro background. Just a man with a dream and a little creative paperwork. How did he pull it off? Flitcroft simply declared himself a professional golfer on his entry form. No verification, no questions asked. And just like that, he found himself teeing it up alongside actual professionals at Formby Golf Club, trying to qualify for the most prestigious tournament in golf. Can you believe it? Flitcroft hacked, chunked, and topped his way around the course, shooting a jaw-dropping 121, one of the worst scores ever recorded in Open qualifying history. How did this guy even get in? The answer came quickly. He was a complete fraud, and the R&A, golf's governing body, immediately banned him from ever entering again. But here's where the story takes a turn from ridiculous to legendary. Most people would have walked away, not Maurice Flitcroft. Determined to chase his impossible golf dream, he started sneaking into future Open qualifiers under fake names: Gene Pacecki, Gerald Hoppe, Arnold Palmtree, each time trying to beat his own infamous record. His antics made him a cult hero. They called him the Royal and Ancient Rabbit, a nod to the R&A, and the world's worst golfer. His story was so unbelievable that it became a book and a 2021 film, The Phantom of the Open. Here we are at number 14. Some golfers grind an entire season for a handful of chip-ins. But on this day, Tony Finau was about to pull off something nearly impossible. It all went down at the 2025 Genesis Invitational at Torrey Pines, where Tony turned what should have been routine up-and-down attempts into a highlight reel that had the crowd, and even himself, in disbelief. The first came at the par 3 third, where he found himself in thick rough between the green and a bunker. Using a 60-degree wedge, he chipped in from 20 feet. Then, at the par 4 fourth, he chipped in again, this time from 14 feet. His third chip-in came at the par 3 eighth, from 28 feet with a 56-degree wedge. Even Tony couldn't believe it. After the round, he shook his head and admitted, "I think that's the most chip-ins I've had in one round really in my life, for sure, in my career." And he wasn't exaggerating. Statistically, what he did was absurd. Pros might chip in once, maybe twice, in an entire round on their best day. Finau had pulled off 3 in less than half a round. Sometimes golf just doesn't make sense, and on this day, Tony Finau made the impossible look easy. At number 13, we've got a moment that sounds like something ripped straight from a Hollywood script. A golf tournament, a heckler, a furious movie star, and a lawsuit demanding millions. Except this wasn't a movie, this actually happened. But before we dive in, we're almost there to reach 20,000 subs. Please help us reach our goal and subscribe to the channel. All right, let's go. It was 1981 at the prestigious Bing Crosby National Pro-Am, where celebrities and pros shared the fairways in a relaxed, star-studded competition. But for James Garner, the legendary actor from Maverick and the Rockford Files, this round of golf wasn't going to end with a handshake and a cold drink. It ended in a courtroom. The trouble started when a spectator, William Stewart, allegedly began heckling Garner's friend, pro golfer John Cook during a crucial putt. Now, golf isn't exactly known for its brawls, but Garner wasn't about to let it slide. What happened next is where the stories don't quite match up. Stewart claimed that Garner straight up punched him in the face and knocked him down. Garner, on the other hand, insisted it was just a little push. Either way, it ended with Stewart suing the actor for a jaw-dropping $2.2 million, claiming severe mental anguish. The case went to trial in March 1983, turning a quiet golf tournament into front-page news. Golf has had its fair share of on-course drama, but having a Hollywood star caught up in a legal battle over a scuffle, that made this one unforgettable. Coming in at number 12, some players grind their entire careers for a shot at a major. John Daly, he wasn't even supposed to be there. The year was 1991, and the PGA Championship at Crooked Stick was set. The best players in the world were preparing for battle. John Daly's name wasn't anywhere on the list, not in the field, not even close. He was the ninth alternate, a total afterthought. The kind of player who brings his clubs just in case, but deep down knows he's got no shot at teeing it up. Then, the unthinkable happened. One by one, players started dropping out, 8 of them, a streak of withdrawals so unlikely that suddenly the ninth alternate was in. And just like that, John Daly went from watching at home to playing in a major championship. There was just one problem. He had never even seen the course, no practice rounds, no time to prepare. He had to borrow a caddy who had local knowledge just to help him navigate Crooked Stick. Most players in this situation would have played it safe, tried to survive. But Daly? He did the exact opposite. By the time Sunday rolled around, the impossible was happening. John Daly, the man who wasn't even supposed to be in the field, was leading a major. The crowds were in disbelief. The cameras couldn't get enough of him. And then, just like that, he finished it off. Daly won by 3 shots, stunning the golf world. One phone call had changed everything. From ninth alternate to major champion in a matter of days. One of the most insane, improbable victories in golf history. At number 11, we're heading to 2020, a time when the sports world was still figuring out how to navigate the pandemic. Joel Dahmen, known for his laid-back personality and signature bucket hat, didn't win the Scottsdale Open that year. That honor went to Zach Smith. But he did do something that had everyone talking. Just before the tournament, Dahmen was out for a casual round with some buddies at Mesa Country Club in Arizona. Nothing serious, just a friendly game. But then something clicked. After playing the first 6 holes at 2 under, he went on an absolute tear. Over the next 12 holes, he went 12 under, racking up 3 eagles and 6 birdies. His back 9 score? A mind-blowing 26. And when he eagled the 18th, he carded a number most golfers can only dream of, 58. For context, breaking 60 in a professional event is rare. Only a handful of players have ever done it. Even crazier, his playing partners that day were Chicago Cubs players Ian Happ and Kyle Schwarber, who could only watch in disbelief as Dahmen casually rewrote the history books on a day that wasn't even supposed to be serious. We're halfway through at number 10. Some rounds are great, some rounds are legendary. And then there's Jake Knapp's round at the 2025 Cognizant Classic, a day when golf history was rewritten before everyone's eyes. It started like any other round, but by the time Knapp walked off the first green, something felt different. Birdie, then another, birdie, and another. 5 in a row to open the day. At first it just looked like a hot start, but then people started watching. A 6 under 29 on the front 9. And he was just getting warmed up. Knapp kept the momentum rolling, stacking birdies at 10, 11, 13, and 14. Suddenly, he was staring at the kind of moment every golfer dreams about, but almost no one ever gets. A chance to shoot 59. 4 holes left, 1 birdie needed. And then, the moment, a 31-foot birdie putt on 15. It tracked the hole like it knew it was supposed to go in. The crowd held its breath. Then, boom, bottom of the cup. Now it was real. He parred 16 and 17, 1 hole left, 1 more birdie. His drive, striped. His approach, dialed in, 19 feet for eagle. A 58 was on the table. If he drained this putt, he wouldn't just make history, he'd obliterate it. Knapp stepped up, read the line, took a breath, rolled it, and then just barely missed. The sigh from the gallery was almost as loud as the cheers, but it didn't matter. Knapp tapped in for 59, becoming the first player to ever shoot 59 at PGA National. The first to ever do it in Florida. At number 9, we head to the 2019 Turkish Airlines Open, where Tyrrell Hatton faced a distraction straight out of a comedy sketch. See, Hatton was preparing for a crucial shot, his concentration at its peak. In golf, where the slightest distraction can disrupt a player's swing, silence is golden. But just as Hatton was about to pull the trigger, a loud, unmistakable sound shattered the silence, the slamming of a toilet door. Annoyed, he stopped mid-backswing. "Is that you? What are you doing?" he called out. Then, the unexpected twist. "That's my fiancée." Loud laughter from the commentators as Emily Brasher sheepishly walked away. Hatton, ever the showman, added, "You should be ashamed," clearly joking. The clip went viral, proving that even in high-stakes golf, there's always room for a little bathroom humor. Here at number 8 is where Collin Morikawa made history in a way that hadn't been done since Bobby Jones in 1926. At just 24 years old, Morikawa arrived at Royal St. George's for the 2021 Open Championship, still riding the high of his PGA Championship victory the year before. But this was different. Links golf is unpredictable, ruthless. The wind, the bunkers, the undulating greens. Even the best players can get chewed up and spit out. Morikawa had little experience with it. Most expected him to struggle. What happened instead? A performance for the ages. Starting the final round just one shot behind Louis Oosthuizen, Morikawa played like a man who had done this 100 times before. While others cracked under pressure, he was unshakable. Shot after shot, putt after putt, he took control, and when he walked up the 18th fairway, the realization started to sink in. He wasn't just winning, he was making history. With one final tap in for par, Morikawa sealed a two-shot victory over Jordan Spieth. He had done the impossible, 2 majors, 2 first attempts. At that age, he joined an elite group including Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, and Rory McIlroy, as one of the few players to win multiple majors before turning 25. Moving to number 7, we rewind to 1987 and the San Diego Open at Torrey Pines. Craig Stadler, aka the Walrus, was tied for second place after 72 holes, just 4 strokes behind the winner, George Burns. But as he walked off the 18th green, a PGA Tour official approached him with shocking news. During the 3rd round, Stadler had hit his tee shot on the 14th hole under a tree. To take his next shot, he needed to kneel down, so he placed a towel on the wet ground to keep his pants dry. What seemed like a reasonable move turned out to be a violation of Rule 13-3, which prohibits building a stance for a shot. Someone had reported the violation to the PGA Tour after seeing it on TV, and after reviewing the footage, officials determined that Stadler had broken the rule. Since he hadn't assessed the required 2-stroke penalty before signing his scorecard, he was disqualified from the tournament. The disqualification cost Stadler more than $37,000 in prize money and a second-place finish, making it one of the most talked-about rules infractions in golf. Number 6 takes us to the 2016 Travelers Championship at TPC River Highlands, where Jim Furyk, a 46-year-old veteran with a U.S. Open title and a FedEx Cup win under his belt, was about to make history in the most unexpected way. Furyk had been struggling that week. After barely making the cut on Friday, he shot a disappointing 72 in the 3rd round, leaving him 16 strokes behind the leader and tied for 70th place. No one was paying much attention when he teed off early Sunday morning. But what happened next was miraculous. Furyk parred the first hole, then went on a birdie-eagle-birdie run over the next 3 holes. By the time he made the turn, he'd shot an 8 under 27 on the front 9, just 1 shot off the PGA Tour record. The back 9 saw him birdie 6 more times, with the crowd growing as word spread about his historic round. Standing on the 18th tee, Furyk needed just a par to shoot 58, the lowest round ever in PGA Tour history. He hit his approach to 26 feet, then tapped in for par to make it official. With his 12 under 58, Furyk became the only player to break 60 twice on the PGA Tour, having shot 59 at the 2013 BMW Championship. It was a moment that cemented his place in golf's record books. Sliding into our top 5, and we take you back to the 2009 PGA Championship at Hazeltine National Golf Club, where the seemingly impossible was about to unfold. Tiger Woods, the ultimate closer in golf, was in his comfort zone. He held a 2-shot lead going into the final round. And here's the key stat. Tiger had never lost a major when leading after 54 holes. 14 times he had been in this position. 14 times he had won. His opponent? Y.E. Young, a relatively unknown South Korean golfer, ranked 110th in the world, standing on the biggest stage of his life. The script was already written, or so everyone thought. Woods would cruise to his 15th major. Yang would be just another name on the leaderboard. But he had other plans. Instead of shrinking under the pressure of playing with Woods, Yang erased the deficit and went head-to-head with the golf legend. The turning point came at the par 4 14th, when Yang hit a brilliant hybrid shot from 210 yards, landing just 10 feet from the pin. He drained the eagle putt and took the lead. Walking to the 18th green, holding a one-shot advantage, Yang knew history was within reach. He needed one last great shot. And he delivered. His approach landed perfectly, setting up an easy birdie. Tiger? For the first time in his major career, he had no answer. His approach sailed over the green, leading to a bogey. The final score, Yang 2 under 70, Tiger 3 over 75. And just like that, the impossible happened. Yang became the first Asian-born player to win a men's major, but more than that, he shattered Tiger Woods' invincible aura. Next up, number 4. And this is where the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, held in 2021, gave us one of the most chaotic and unpredictable moments in golf history: a 7-man playoff for a single medal. Yes, 7 players, 1 bronze. Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, Paul Casey, Hideki Matsuyama, Sebastian Munoz, C.T. Pan, and Mito Pereira, all from different countries, finished tied after 72 holes. What happened next? Pure golf madness. With so many players, they had to split into 2 groups just to start the playoff. And as the pressure mounted, one by one, they dropped. The first playoff hole eliminated Casey and Matsuyama, but the remaining 5 made par, extending the drama. On the second hole, the par 3/10th, all 5 players made par again. On the third hole, Morikawa, fresh off his Open Championship win, hit a brilliant approach shot, stopping less than a foot from the hole for a tap-in birdie. But C.T. Pan matched him with a birdie of his own, eliminating the other 3 players. Down to just Pan and Morikawa, they headed back to the 18th. Morikawa found a bunker and made bogey, while Pan's par secured the bronze medal in one of the longest and most extraordinary playoffs ever seen in golf. Number 3 takes us to the incredible story of a player who did the absolute unthinkable during the 2024 PGA Tour season. Some golfers go their entire careers without making a single hole-in-one. This guy? He made 3 in one PGA Tour season. It all started at the Rocket Mortgage Classic, where Joe Highsmith aced the 5th hole at Detroit Golf Club. A few months later, at the American Express, he recorded his 2nd on the 13th hole at PGA West's Stadium course. But what happened at the Wyndham Championship later that season was next-level insane. On the 189-yard, par 3 12th hole at Sedgefield Country Club, Highsmith's shot landed 25 feet beyond the hole, caught a ridge, and slowly rolled back toward the flag before dropping in the cup. With that, he became the first player since 1983 to make 3 holes-in-one in a single PGA Tour season. What made this ace even more remarkable was that it was the 2nd hole-in-one on that same hole that day. Lucas Glover, the defending champion, had aced it earlier. It seemed like the 12th hole was magnetic for perfection that day. Coming in at number 2. Some moments in sports feel too scripted to be real. This was one of them. For over a decade, Tiger Woods was untouchable, the greatest golfer of his generation, maybe of all time. But by 2017, he wasn't even sure he'd walk again, let alone swing a club. A devastating back injury, multiple surgeries, a shocking DUI arrest. The once invincible Woods had hit rock bottom. The world had already moved on. His career? Finished. Or so we thought. Fast forward to April 14th, 2019. Augusta National. The Masters. Woods started the final round 2 shots behind Francesco Molinari. The leaderboard was stacked. The odds? Slim. But then, the unexpected happened. Shot by shot, hole by hole, Tiger clawed his way back. He stayed patient while others crumbled, and when he rolled in a birdie on 15 to take the lead, Augusta erupted. Then came 16. Tiger's tee shot was perfect. It landed near the hole, took the traditional slope, and for a second, it looked like it might drop for an ace. It didn't, but it set up the easiest birdie of his life. Now he was on the verge of history. One last hole, one last putt, and then it dropped. A roar unlike anything Augusta had heard in years. Tiger threw his arms in the air, the same way he did 22 years earlier when he won his first Masters. But this time, it was different. And finally, at number 1, we have probably the most unexpected moment in golf history. The year was 1999. The place? Carnoustie, Scotland. Jean van de Velde stood on the 18th tee at the Open Championship with a 3-shot lead. One final hole, one last walk up the fairway. A double bogey would be enough. A double bogey. That's all he needed to become the first Frenchman to win the Open since 1907. The claret jug was practically in his hands. But what happened next was almost unbelievable. Instead of playing it safe with an iron, Van de Velde pulled out his driver. His shot veered right but stayed in bounds, barely clearing the berry burn. Still, he had a good chance to make double bogey, until he decided to go for the green with his second shot. It hit the grandstands, bounced off a wall, and ended up in deep rough. Then, instead of pitching out safely, he hit his third shot into the berry burn. In a surreal moment, Van de Velde waded into the water to consider his next move, before wisely taking a drop. His fifth shot found a bunker, but he managed to get out and made a putt for a triple bogey 7, forcing a playoff with Paul Lawrie and Justin Leonard. Unfortunately for Van de Velde, the collapse seemed to haunt him in the playoff, which Lawrie won with an incredible 67, despite starting 10 shots behind. Oh, and now you're still here, we have another great video for you to watch right in the middle of the screen. Enjoy!